Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Convos and Coffee. Hello. I'm going to invite our guest, John. How is everyone today? Hi. I feel good. I worked out. I ran today, so I feel ready for my Tuesday. And how's everyone else? I just realized that I keep saying, we're doing coffee because it's 10 o'clock in the morning in Los Angeles, but so many of our guests every week are from France and the UK and everyone else. So I hope you're not drinking coffee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon because you're not going to sleep very well. So that's my advice. So I hope you're having some tea. Anyway, I am so happy to see you guys. I am very excited for this week's guest. I'm going to save my introduction until he gets on with us. John, are you there? Where is he? Hold on, let me see if he comes in. Hi. Somebody just wrote, did Eduardo lose the mustache? Yes, he did. He did lose the mustache. Yes, Lucia made him lose it before her graduation. So she was like, yeah, Papa, no mustache. Hold on, let me try to get John back again. It says for some reason that he can't join. I don't know why. John, where are you? There you are. He's coming in.
Can you see me?
Well, turn the camera towards you. I can see your pool. Hi!
Hi. Now I can't see you, but you can see
Well,
me.
just pull the camera further away from you. Further. A little more. There we go.
My arms aren't that long.
There we go. I know you need to get one of these little tripod things that holds it up.
Oh yes, exactly. A selfie rod or something.
Selfie rod. I'm gonna get you one of those. How are you, John? Good morning.
Good morning, Sasha. It's such a delight to be here with you. I miss you.
I miss you. I'm so happy to see you. It's been way too long, and you know how much I adore you, and I'm so happy to. I was just starting to give an introduction, but wanted to wait for you. We have so many guests on here from around the world, so. This is not a full Hollywood crowd. So as we just talk about today, what I love about it is that we have so many people from all over the world that are always so interested in what we do, right? And you're going to tell us what you do.
Absolutely.
So first of all, I want to say good morning and good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I have my coffee. John, did you bring something to drink?
I actually just finished my second cup of English breakfast tea, and I'm jangled.
Jangled, perfect. I said so many people are tuning in from like all over the world and Europe and stuff. I said, please don't be drinking coffee at 5 o'clock in the afternoon because you won't sleep very well. So let me tell you guys about John and how what a huge and pivotal role he played in my career and so many actors' careers throughout the years. John is a casting director, and he's a legendary casting director in Hollywood. And he most recently, and I'm going to tell you what casting directors do. A lot of you know, some of you don't. And if you don't, please write in your questions and I will try to answer them. And he wrote a great book on the subject. So it's called Right for the Role. All right, I'll tell you all about it later. John Frank Levey. And so this book is an insider's truthful guide to what it means to be a casting director at your level for so many decades in this business, and particularly to be casting, mega television shows. John has cast from ER, West Wing, Shameless, Animal Kingdom. What else?
Don't forget Presidio Med.
Presidio Med, which is the show that we're going to talk about, how I met John. And incredible series that, when you're a casting director casting these shows, not only do you cast the pilot, which is, finding the character, the actor that's going to play that character, not just for one episode, but for years on end. So that's a really unique process, which I want to talk about. And I also want to talk about just, you know, how our business has changed. So we're going to get to that. So congratulations, John, on this book. All of you should get it. I'll tell you about it more later. But congratulations. I'm so happy that you did this. Like, it's fantastic.
Thank you so much, Sasha. It's been quite a wonderful thing. When you get to be my age and have spent so much time doing something you love, getting an opportunity to talk about it and share it, is giving me, energy for the rest of my life. You get to a certain point and you want to give back and you wonder how you can do that. And I was so fortunate to meet Trudy Roth, who wrote the book with me, and I'm having such a good time talking about it and talking about casting and talking about actors that I have loved for so many decades, like you.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I want to help you real quickly because everyone's writing, because you can't see me. So turn your camera towards you, but press the little, did you turn the little button that turns it towards you, or did you turn the camera towards you? So turn the,
I don't know how to do that.
On the bottom right hand corner, there's a little
Yeah.
circle that flips it. Just press that button. It has a little round arrow, an arrow going.
I did that, and a whole bunch of people popped up. No, now you see my pool again.
Yeah, but you just have to, just because I want you to be able to see us. Just press the button. It's on the bottom right. It just turns the frame around.
I see that one, maybe.
Give it a second. It should turn the frame around. No.
Well, you know what? I'm a complete Luddite, so we're gonna have to do it this way.
Okay, I'm sorry. I would like for you to be able to see me and see all the questions and everything, but that's okay.
I have you in my mind from 30 years ago.
Okay. You'll have to rewatch this. Okay. So, first of all, I hear you about this, about just it bringing new life. Your book is also bringing new life to me. So as much as this is something that you have given your soul to and your life's work to, it's so important to be able to read this because it's been nostalgic for me to be able to just remember what it used to be like pre-pandemic. Are you frozen? What's happening? Oh no, he's casting, not cinematography, somebody wrote. Uh-oh. John, you might have to click out and come back. And Johnny out. Yes, and Johnny out. Ground control to Major John. John, I think you paused your camera. Are you back?
Am I back?
There you are. Don't move. Stay right there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, okay, yes.
Great. So what I was saying was that I just feel like your book is not just a gift to you, but it is a gift to us, to me, to those of us actors that remember what it used to be like. Like
right.
The casting process and the relationship between actor and casting director was such an important part of everything that I did in this business until the pandemic hit and we moved over to doing video auditions. So
yeah, absolutely. It's changed everything, Sasha. And it's kind of absurd to think that the world can tell the stories of people with less and less human contact. I learned so much about you in the moments when I went out to the waiting room to get you and bring you into a room, and in watching you interact with directors and writers and producers and now all I get to see is the audition, and it's, human contact is so crucial to human storytelling. And as we move into technology, and you can see that I haven't moved into technology with any adroit skill, but as we move into a technological world, we distance ourselves from each other, and that's not good for anything.
You know, John, part of the reason that I'm doing this this conversation every week is honestly because I miss connection. I miss
Yeah.
having a connection to community. I miss having a dialogue. Yes, we have our lives that we all lead in our silos, and I'm, a curious person and I love people, but I've missed doing this. I've missed that. And I certainly have missed it in the auditioning process. And I have to say that, so since the pandemic, I definitely went through a depression of sorts, of feeling like, oh, maybe I can't do this anymore. Like, this is not how I work. This is not how I ever got work. Part of my process as an actor has always been to understand the language of what the writer and the director and the producers want. And part of understanding that is going into a room, meeting the casting, meeting the directors, and having an understanding of what they're looking for in that character. And then hopefully being able to achieve that and work on that. And so,
absolutely.
Right. I want to quickly tell a story. For those of you that don't understand, I just want to say real quick, casting directors cast every TV show and movie. So the directors and the producers will give a script to a casting director and trust that that casting director is going to bring in the right actors for these roles, because nobody really has the time to sort of see everybody imaginable. But the casting director has to figure out how to do that. And there's a beautiful foreword in your book by our beloved John Wells, who again is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, television producer ever, who produced all of the shows West Wing and ER and Shameless and many others. And he writes a foreword to you, and in it, which I love so much, what he says about your process, he says that you fought for actors. You supported them, you encouraged them. Acting is often raw talent and intuition, but it's never only raw talent and intuition. And so I love that he talks about also how just you calming nerves, understanding how to make that connection between the actor and the director in the room. All of those little things that happen in order to get an actor to a place to give their best performance, so that you can see what they're capable of fully and know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I still can't read the foreword that John wrote without crying.
I don't blame you.
As I said, I learned so much about an actor by interacting with him, and in my room, I often played the sort of fool, going out into the waiting room and joking around with people and trying to put people at ease. It's such an important part of it, to let you have oxygen flowing through your body instead of, having every sphincter tighten up and have no oxygen flowing. Trying to help you to relax, and also to give you the understanding that you're invited into the room is already a victory. It's expressing that I believe in you. And if my reputation for doing good work, contributing to a creative process, if I have blessed you, I hope it sends confidence roaring through your creative body, and produces the best possible work. Casting directors love actors, and we want actors to know that we love them, and we want them to succeed.
Yeah.
We're invested, and we're partners with you in your success.
I'm going to tell a story about our origin story, which, I mean, yours is probably different than mine, but what I remember most about you was, so John was at Warner Brothers, and he was in this building, which was the casting building. And John was like, you know, the top casting director that any actor, you know, starting out would hope to get in the room with. And you had the reputation of like, you don't mess around. Like, you know, we know, you know, we know that showing up for you, it's your shot. Like you better come ready to give it. And that's basically the instructions I got from my agent, was like, John's gonna see you, but be ready. And I said, okay. And so I remember coming
You know,
in.
it's funny, Sasha, because I think agents always accentuated my so-called toughness, but my toughness was with them, not with you.
That's, you know what, that is true. That's probably true, because I never felt you were tough. I felt that you were I'll tell you what I love the most about reading with you. But I came in for a pre-read for Presidio Med, and I remember at the time being a little bit like, you know, all during that whole pilot season, a lot of the at that point I was at a place where I went straight to producers, but they were like, John's going to pre-read you. And I thought, okay. So I go in, we read, I think it goes well, because you call me in to meet with the producers. And what I really loved about reading with you was that one thing that really always like stood in my way in auditions was when casting directors chit chat with you before you do the part. Because yes, you want to be polite and you want to have a conversation, but I came into auditions as the character. So it was hard for me to just be Sasha and then jump into, you know, like that, being like, okay, ready, go, do the role. It took a moment. And so in the beginning of that, I think I was shy about taking my moment before I started. Then I got more comfortable. But I remember sort of going in, I preferred to just go in and do it. Hi, thank you so much, nice to meet you, and just get into it. Some people talk for a while, and then all of a sudden you kind of lose your momentum. So I remember going in to read for John Wells and Andrew Stern and you and Chris Chulak, and who, by the way, are all my favorite people in Hollywood. So I was a very lucky girl to be in that room at that time, and anytime, but at that time. And I remember going in the room, and I was so in the character. I was reading for Dr. Jackie, and this character was she had a very healthy ego, let's say, you know, but a bit arrogant. She was a very kind of a hotshot plastic surgeon. And so it's very different than me, Sasha. And so when I came in that vibe, I was feeling a little saucy. So I remember you were looking for my headshot, and as I came in, and you were looking down the ground, and you said, oh, I just can't find it. I can't find it. And I said, well, John, I'm standing right in front of you. And it was such like a sassy thing to say. And you looked up and you said, yeah, you are. But it was a really funny moment. And I just remember clicking into that and having such a great time and feeling so supported, which I did throughout the entire process, and ultimately through shooting Presidio Med, which was a fantastic show with Julianne Nicholson and Dana Delaney and Blythe Danner and Anna Devere Smith. We had such an incredible cast. You put together such wonderful people. But I just remember that so specifically. It was the first time that it was a big
That's so
breakthrough. And that was
funny
a big
because I don't
moment.
remember that at
You
all.
don't?
But I don't remember that at all. But, you know, I can tell you a little brief story about the difference between being ready to roll and chatting. During this course of ER, we cast a part for a woman who was 7 or 8 months pregnant, who relapsed and started drinking heavily one afternoon. And the young woman who was reading for the part, who I knew well, and also is a sober alcoholic, she said to me as we were walking in, John, I'm ready. let's not chat. And I said, okay, I got it. And I introduced her, and I started pushing her on the gurney, and she was screaming and yelling and cussing at me. And then when we finished, she said, now I'd like to show you who I am. And she chatted with the people afterwards, and she was great, and she got the job.
I love that so much, and I really relate to that. And I think that's part of the reason that this whole, taping yourself, and for those of you that don't know, ever since the pandemic, when we couldn't be together, auditioning went to no longer meeting the casting director and the directors in person, but it went to being on a tape. So most actors, which you might have heard of with all the strikes and everything else, but most actors are just making a tape at home or with the person that has to read for them, and they have to light themselves and they have to direct themselves. Like, we have to do all this stuff on our own, and then we send that tape, and casting gives it, they do their process. But what's really unfair about that on so many levels is that I just feel that there's so much, as you said, that we get for meeting people in person, what they're capable of, what range they're capable of. I get no feedback now, ever, and I don't even get a direction. There's so many ways I could play.
Yeah, it's just preposterous,
right?
isn't it? One of the things that I remember so distinctly about you is that your performance on Shameless particularly, but you as a person have such a directness and such a bravery that I was always struck by, that you made contact with me. You were completely present when you came into my office, and open and ready to work, and enthusiastic and excited about the opportunity, and loving creativity. I could read all of that in your eyes and in your voice and in your body, interacting with you. And I knew from those interactions that you were my kind of creative collaborator. You were someone who I wanted to be in the trenches with. And nowadays, you don't know a damn thing about anybody. You just see the choices they made and the performance they've developed. And what we do is so much more than the result.
Yeah.
The result is a result of the process. And when you eliminate a huge portion of the process, you're just stuck with the result. It's so limiting and frustrating, because those of us who really love what we do love the whole process, love the whole start to finish. It's not just putting the meal on the table, it's chopping the vegetables and simmering the sauce and getting to flirt with each other and knock back ideas and think about it in a different way. And it's all so much a part of it, and that part of it is now almost impossible to create.
I agree with you on everything, John. And I want to talk a bit about Shameless, because obviously everyone loves Shameless. The greatest show, one of the greatest shows ever on television. Loved so much. And you know how much I loved being a part of that show. But specifically in casting Shameless, one of the things that I learned being on it, and then later on you and I talked about, was that, you really needed actors who were open to play. And every actor is not always comfortable sort of going with it, right? I mean, I remember being in a read through, and Bill Macy said, oh my goodness, every time I get one of these scripts, I have no idea what's coming out of me, right? It wasn't something...
I had that same experience, Sasha. After years and years and years of doing network television where you couldn't say, God damn it, suddenly on page 23, you know, fade in and two people are having sex, you know, in a closet after a wedding, and you know, you just think to yourself, holy moly, how did we get to say this, we get to do
Yeah.
that, the freedom of it, and having to, and it was so clear to me that I had to find people who were willing to be shameless.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I don't know that I would have ever agreed to be shameless if I didn't know that you and that team, Andrew and John, were, you know, behind that, because you guys are the classiest people ever. And so the standard in which you treat actors from the moment that we come into the waiting room to audition until we're shooting, until we're driving home, until we're getting our call sheet, like everything about working with that team is just such a major caliber of class and
I couldn't agree
humanity.
with you more. It was such a
Oh,
reassuring, comfortable
yes.
environment to work in,
Yeah.
because you knew that John, you know, there's an old Jewish phrase, what, if the fish stinks, it stinks from the head. John was the head of our giant fish, and he set the tone that we were to be responsible and cater to the talent and make sure everybody had an environment that they could do their best work in. We were dedicated to that collaboration,
Yeah.
and it was so reassuring to me, and I tried to pass that reassurance on to you so that you would do the crazy things that you had to do in that wonderful part. And aren't you thrilled with how Jeremy Allen White has gone on from that part on our Shameless to The Bear, and has winning all these awards, and
Yeah, I mean,
it's so
listen,
exciting.
Jeremy is such a wonderful human and actor, and you know, we're still in touch, and I congratulate him every time. But I said it's getting boring. I'm congratulating you every month. It's like crazy. But I love him and Shanola. That whole cast was so fabulous. And one of the things that one always knows of a show that you cast, John, and that's why that sort of human contact is important, is that there's a human chemistry as well that happens, as well as just being right for the role. You have to understand the people that you're casting to know what they're willing to show up for, right? I mean, the role that I stepped in with Jeremy, Helene Runyon, that role was, it was interesting because you guys wanted somebody that came in, and this was the first time that Lip was going to have sort of not only an older woman relationship in his life, but really somebody that he began to have strong feelings for that were more than he had experienced in the past. And so there was this power dynamic. There was a specific kind of, you know, thing that we were capturing. And I remember Chris Chulak was doing the first episode that I was in, and I didn't really speak to Jeremy a lot because I just didn't want him to, I didn't want to be me, friendly Sasha. You know, I'm like a friendly on set, and I thought, this is so not the character. I don't want to be friendly. I want him to be intimidated. I want him to not know who I am at all. And so I didn't talk to him too much in the first couple of episodes. And Chris Trulick was so funny because he knows me and he knows my process. And so he just would wink at me, and I said, is there anything? And he was like, it's such a beautiful thing when you work with people who understand and give space for the process. And what I
Yeah,
experienced on Shameless was space. That was such a gift. Like, it wasn't like, you know, this nitpicky on every and the. I mean, yes, everybody hit the dialogue, but it was more about the space to breathe it, to be a full, complicated human being. There was no right way to play the scene, right?
absolutely.
There wasn't.
You know, when you're free to can I cuss on your show?
Yes.
when you're free to fuck it up, you're free to make it new, and you're free to make it rich and three-dimensional, and you're not just doing it by the numbers, painting by the numbers. You're it's alive,
Yeah.
and you trust the creative collaboration that is part of the process that was always present in John Wells
Yeah.
Productions. uh, because John set that
Yeah.
tone. We were all, I was always free to bring in someone who seemed obviously right for a part, but also to bring in a woman when it looked like it should be a man, to do diversity before it was a watchword,
Right.
to expand the palette, the color palette of the show, to trust that doing it wrong might be righter than doing
Right.
it right. And that freedom just created such a wonderful environment. Even if those crazy takes never ended up in the show and we ended up doing the conventional thing, the crazy takes were part of the process and informed everything.
100%. But I have to tell you real quick, Sharon Lawrence is on, and we got to give her a shout out. Hi,
Hey, Sharon.
Sharon. John, put your camera down a little. I can only see your forehead. Hi, Sharon. We love you. Talk about one of my favorite actors to work with. I love Sharon. Talk about a pro. Um,
Yes, I had the pleasure of working with her a number of times.
I know you have. One other thing, and back to, I want to talk a little bit about something else in your book, and then we're going to talk about just sort of any kind of advice you have in this new world, because when people ask me about advice, I don't know what to say. I feel really, all I keep saying is stay creative, build your own things. I think we're in an interesting moment in this business where I'm not sure anybody really knows what that formula is. And so just stay active in your craft.
Yeah, that's, I
Right?
think, the best advice, Sasha. Stay, stay alive. Bring your humanity, even in a world that's filled with machines. Just stay alive. Love what you do. Be creative. Care.
Yeah. 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 And I'll tell you, I had a conversation with a studio executive recently, and he said something that really stuck with me, which was, I said, well, how are we going to combat all this AI? It's going to take over. And he said, no, it's not, because we're artists. You're artists. And if we dig into holding into that thing that we do as artists, as a collaborative team, no one can take that away from us. So we just need to push.
I agree, but I'm fearful that there are a number of studio executives who aren't
Oh,
artists and who don't value our artistry and who only value the bottom line, and those people will embrace AI.
and they are, but what I was happy to hear about this person was that, yes, there are a lot of those, but we're hoping that there's still those that have such a love of this process. And frankly, all these tech guys that are taking over the industry, none of them have ever been on set. They don't
No,
actually know what you do or what I do. They have no idea what it takes to create that. And it's fascinating,
absolutely.
right?
It's like people who only eat the final product and have never been in the
That's
kitchen.
right. They have no idea. They have no idea what it means to what deep collaboration means, and how to create, how you get to that result, as you said. They don't know. So my hope is that there's going to be enough that do understand what that's like and really hold on to that. And it's going to take us as artists also sticking together to say, no, this is how we want this to look and feel. And hopefully out of
Absolutely.
that, we continue to make good product that, as you said, it does perform well, but it is tricky. It's a very tricky time.
I couldn't agree more.
So
And I'm afraid that I'm a little bit pessimistic that the bottom liners aren't going to dominate, but I'm a little optimistic that the people who love creativity and collaboration and community will find at the very least a niche of a place where we can do what we've been doing for our whole creative lives.
yeah,
And that's part of the reason that I wanted to talk to you, and why I wrote the book, and why I'm talking to people on podcasts and doing a little teaching, is that I want to try to light the flame of collaboration, of creativity, yeah, and try to rekindle everybody's enthusiasm for and recognition that artists have an enormous responsibility, and if we give away that and we lose that in our culture, it'll be a profound loss. um, it's important that we stick together and that we celebrate creativity and artistry.
I amen. I completely agree with you. And more than ever, we need to be, as we're doing right now, connecting with human beings, not just scrolling our phones. Go to the theater, go to the movies, go to the theater, like go to live music, connect with people and create,
Absolutely.
right? No matter what that is.
And connect with people who are outside of your comfort zone. Connect with people who aren't like you. We're so divided right now in a culture where we make other people the other. And if we really sit down at a table together, we find out that we're not other. We're together. We are. We have the capacity to bridge gaps and to shorten distance and to share culture and ideas and thoughts and feelings, and those are the things that have sustained human beings forever.
Yeah.
The millions of years that people have been on the planet. We've been telling stories about power and kings and queens and love gained and lost and all of those, slap shoe clowns, and we've made each other laugh and cry and think. And it's brought us together. And it's more urgently important today than it's ever been, because we have been so fractured and made to feel apart apart instead of a part of something together.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you, John. I really am. And this is it feels very emotional to me to be having this conversation with you, because I feel like a part of me since the pandemic, and now it's like making my way back, but I feel like a whole part got just so taken away, a part of this process.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah,
was,
they have the world is trying to tell us that we're irrelevant, that our artistry and our creativity isn't important, and they're wrong.
yeah. No, they are wrong, but it's up to us now individually to sort of find what that is. Where do we tell our stories? How do we tell our stories in this new medium, in this new, way of thinking and looking at things? Like, what is that? It's taken me a little time to sort of recover from the shock of, oh, it's not like that anymore. You don't get to go and sit and have a conversation. Like in Europe, for instance, casting, like when Eduardo goes and casts something, he sits down with an actor. He meets them in
Right.
He has coffee, he has lunch, he has tea, he keeps meeting. They talk about the character. And then he sees, and just humanly can see, does he have chemistry with this person? Does he feel like they're a person that he can collaborate with? What are they like? And so often, if I send you a tape of me just doing the role, you have no idea what my essence is. You have a feeling. I mean, you could say, okay, she's this age, she's this type, she hit that line or didn't. But it's like, it's not fun. It's just not fun at all.
No, not at all. And it's again, the result is something we get to together through the process. And when you eliminate part of the process, you impact the result.
Yeah, somebody just asked what we're talking about. We're talking to a casting director named John Levey. Amazing. He wrote a book called Right for the Role, in case you guys are just joining. So we're talking about auditioning in Hollywood and what the casting process is like. So, well, John, we're, if there's any, let me see if anybody has a question for John, please write it in right now and we can answer it. And John, is there any other kernel of a story, anything else that you'd love to share about, you know, either the book that's in the book or your process or anything that, you know, that you want to put out?
Well, yeah, I would. Thank you. I'd like to tell this. One of the things I've loved for all these many decades that I've been a casting director is that it's given me an opportunity to experience things that are outside of my normal life. During the course of doing ER, I learned so much about the deaf community because Eric LaSalle's character had a deaf child. During that time, John called me one day and said he wanted to do a story about HIV/AIDS. And of course, I was aware of it and I knew about it. But being a cis male, straight, whatever all those words mean, I don't know them all. It wasn't touching my life personally. But so I called an LGBTQ organization in LA and I asked them if they would please send me actors, men who were HIV positive, and about 30 of them came through my office in a couple of days. And eventually I showed 4 or 5 to John and others. And the one guy was particularly spectacular in the role. And I said to him, John said to him, gosh, you're so wonderful. We want you to do this part. And that was very unusual, where you would tell someone in the room that you wanted to hire them. But this guy was so moving that John did that. And the actor said, when does it shoot? And I checked my schedule, and I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday that we were doing the audition. And I said, well, it shoots the next Tuesday. And he took a deep breath and said, my T-cell count is 0. I don't think I'll be alive next Tuesday. And suddenly I understood the HIV/AIDS crisis in a new way. And I've had that opportunity. On Shameless, we created a trans character, and that's not a world I knew very much about. But in the process of meeting 8, 10, 20 trans men and hearing their stories and understanding their dilemmas and their triumphs, I learned something that I was able to grow from. And casting, artistry, storytelling, movies and television are an opportunity for all of us to learn, to change, to grow. And it's been a glorious part of my life to contribute to that as a collaborative partner with actors and with writers and directors and producers, even with studio executives, who are my least favorite group.
Well, you certainly do that, John, and I love your love for it, your love for the process, for actors, for supporting actors, for supporting directors and writers and their vision for it. You have to have, and you do have, such an enormous amount of empathy, compassion, patience, love for it, but also as John Mills was saying, you have to have intuition and taste, right? Because a lot of
Yes,
it comes down to the
absolutely.
taste of the type of actors that you like to put together in a room. And I
Yes.
can say from
uh,
experience, there's not an actor I've worked with on any of our shows we did, or any of the shows you've done with John, that are just not of the highest level of skilled professionals who love what they do and show up to do that. And anything outside of doing the work is just not welcome. And I love that. I miss that. I did not have that in every job I've had. I feel like people are all in it for all sorts of reasons. And for me, it's about showing up, and how can we all make this the best that it could possibly be? That's the
and
beautiful part.
what a glorious gift it is to us that we get to meet playmates
Yeah,
who like to play the same
yeah,
way we do.
yeah.
You know, it's just such a I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I've had to meet the people that I've met, and to, you know, I've had a seat about 6 or 7 feet away from world-class talent, thousands and thousands and thousands of times. You know, and instead of paying for that seat, I got
And
paid for it.
he won 4 Emmys.
It's
Have I
really quite
mentioned?
a.
Four-time Emmy winner. Four-time, right?
That's right. In fact, I'm a 6-time nominee, and the 2 times I lost to myself.
Not a lot of people can say that. Well, John, we're going to wrap up here. I guess one question that people keep asking is just like, you know, is there what's your advice to, you know, as somebody who doesn't have any acting experience but really wants to see if they like it or break into the business in somehow? What do you say?
Try it. Get into a class. You know, if you want to be a duck, you got to start quacking. If you want to be an actor, you got to start acting,
Yeah, yeah,
and live your life to the fullest. Relish your experiences. You know, don't blow on embers to make them into flames that might screw up your life, but, you know, catalog the things that happen in your life. Journal, go into therapy, explore yourself in every way you can, creatively and personally. Expand your horizon. Actors only have their voice, their body, their experience, and their imagination, and their training. And you have to expand all of those things.
yeah. I love that you talk about therapy, by the way. I don't think people very often, when I work with young actors, or um, just, I think back to that time. I know in my 20s, you know, there were some things that happened in my life, and I got into therapy, and it was during the therapy that I really sort of dug deeper into who I am, and you
Sure.
know, we all have to
You
do that work.
discover yourself in therapy and in journaling, and in honestly interacting with your family and your friends and your partners, and, you know, your enemies and the people who give you a hard time. You learn about yourself, and it's a journey of discovering yourself, and that's important for people, but it's especially important for artists.
Yeah, it really is. And frankly, I remember even just when people said, "Oh, when you have a child, like things slow down." I said, "What do you mean?" My work got deeper, more interesting. Like all of our life experiences are things that we can use to deepen our work and understanding of ourselves, and to tell stories, however that may be. So, yeah, I really love that you talk about that. It's really important. So. Well, this has been really fun, John. We have to say goodbye, but I want to just remind everybody, and I'm going to post about it, right for the role, John Frank Levey. So many goodies in here, so much beautiful info. And for those of you that are just looking, that love, you know, understanding acting, even if you don't go into it, or you are an actor, this is the book, because you are the man, John. I'm so happy to see you, even though I am sending you one of these tripods now. That is your gift. You're getting a tripod.
Oh, well, you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your beautiful book. And I really hope to get to see you
Thank you
very
for
soon.
your bravery
Thank you, John.
and for connecting us all.
Thank you, John. Lots of love to you. Sending you a big, big, big hug. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.